Engines wear out, bikes break down, but legends keep rolling. These 7 motors refuse to quit, delivering loyalty mile after mile. By the end, you'll understand which one still dominates the road today. Miss it and you'll miss the truth about the toughest engine ever built. Number 7. Yamaha FJR 1298. There is a certain kind of rider who lives on the open road, a man who eats up miles the way others go through morning coffee. For him, there has always been a machine built with a relentless spirit, an engine that seems immune to fatigue. That engine is the inline-4 sitting inside the FJR. It was designed not to impress in short bursts, but to endure the endless pounding of highway asphalt day after day, year after year. In fact, Yamaha engineers built it with the single purpose of outlasting the man who rides it. For riders who wanted a machine built for distance, the FJR delivered with a 1,298 cubic centimeter inline-4 that produced about 145 horsepower and just over 100 pound-feet of torque. It was a motor praised for smoothness, steady power, and the ability to run all day without strain, earning consistent reliability mentions from Consumer Reports. Braking strength came from dual front discs with advanced anti-lock braking system control and a single rear disc, while suspension used an adjustable fork with electronic settings on later versions and a single rear shock tuned for loads. With a wet weight of 689 pounds, a seat height of 29.1 inches, and a starting price near $17,999, the FJR stood as a premium long-haul choice. What sets this power plant apart is not raw aggression, but the calm certainty that it can run at highway speed forever. Where many engines feel strained after long days at 4,000 revolutions, the FJR hums along like it is idling. Police departments across Europe and the United States turned to this platform because they needed patrol bikes that could spend 12 hours in the saddle every single day, sometimes covering 100,000 miles in only a few short years. Riders regularly document odometers rolling through 200,000, 300,000, and beyond without any sign of weakness. A rare handful of FJRs have crossed the half-million-mile line with their original internals, and when asked, their owners usually shrug and say all they ever did was change the oil and keep riding. One touring enthusiast proved this point when his odometer rolled past 500,000 miles on original internals. He described the engine as idling at highway speed, even after years of relentless travel. Longevity is not the only gift of this engine. The inline-4 was tuned for smoothness so complete that long-distance touring feels less like a challenge and more like a reward. Wind protection, ergonomics, and balanced gearing all feed into the experience, but it is the engine's refusal to falter that keeps riders loyal. In an era when manufacturers load bikes with complicated electronics and fragile software, the FJR's motor reminds us that honest engineering and solid metal will always win. It is a motorcycle built for men who believe a machine should serve its master without complaint, through every season, across every mile. The story of the FJR shows us that endurance can be engineered when priorities are set right. From patrol duty to coast-to-coast journeys, this Yamaha inline-4 has earned its reputation as a warrior of the interstate. And while it may not wear an American badge, it embodies the same spirit of hard work and stubborn reliability that older American riders demand. As the engine hums mile after mile, it teaches one simple truth: longevity is not luck, it is design. The next machine on our list approaches the same goal from a completely different angle, proving that sometimes simplicity, not complexity, is the key to forever. If you're enjoying this countdown so far, hit that like button. It lets us know you want more content on the machines that never quit, and I'd love to hear from you. Which engine do you believe deserves the crown for true longevity? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Number 6. Kawasaki KLR 650. Some motorcycles earn their reputation not through glamour but through sheer grit. Among riders who measure success in how far they can travel without worrying about the machine beneath them, the KLR has stood as an unshakable workhorse. It is the bike that adventurers, soldiers, and cross-country riders turned to when they needed something that would carry them through deserts, mountains, and frozen valleys. In its dual-sport design, the KLR used a 651 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine that produced just under 40 horsepower and nearly 39 pound-feet of torque. Known for steady power and a tractor-like pull, it earned a reputation for toughness, with consumer reports noting its simple dependability and long-term value. Braking came from single discs front and rear, with later models offering a basic anti-lock braking system. A telescopic fork and single rear shock provided durability, while wet weight measured 487 pounds. With a seat height of 34.3 inches and a starting price near $6,699, the KLR balanced ruggedness with affordability. What sets the KLR apart is the stubborn simplicity of its heart. The single-cylinder design may not win drag races, but it will run forever with little more than fresh oil and occasional valve adjustments. In parts of the world where fuel is scarce, roads are unforgiving, and spare parts are rarer than gold, the KLR still soldiers on. Military forces, aid workers, and long-distance riders have leaned on this engine because it thrives in conditions that would break more advanced machines. When adventure riders talk about logging 200,000 miles or even pushing towards 500,000, it is usually the KLR they are talking about, often with a smile that says, "I knew it would make it." The strength of this engine is not found in flashy performance numbers, but in the quiet confidence it gives its rider. Owners tell stories of dropping the bike in rocky riverbeds, hauling it through desert sand, or riding through blizzards, only to fire it back up and keep going. Its single piston thumps out a rhythm like a heartbeat, steady and unwavering. Unlike high-revving multi-cylinder motors that demand constant attention, the Color's thumper thrives on neglect, asking little and delivering much. It is a bike for men who value self-reliance. Men who want to ride into the wilderness knowing their machine will not abandon them when the going gets tough. In the end, the KLR is less a motorcycle and more a trusted companion. It does not need chrome, electronics, or prestige to prove its worth. It only needs the open road, a steady hand, and a rider who understands that toughness is not loud. It is quiet, persistent, and enduring. The KLR embodies that philosophy in every mile it covers. From dusty back roads to forgotten mountain passes, this single-cylinder warrior remains undefeated. As the story of the KLR fades into the next chapter, we shift gears toward a motorcycle that blends comfort and endurance on a scale few others could match. These engines proved what real endurance looks like. We've prepared a list of gear and accessories that carry the same spirit of reliability. Check the description before your next ride. Number 5. Honda Flat 6. There are machines built for commuting, others for racing, and then there are those built to carry their riders across entire continents with nothing more than fuel, oil, and a steady hand. The Goldwing is one of those machines, and at its heart sits a flat 6 engine that redefined what long-distance riding could mean. Introduced in the late 1980s with the GL 1500 and later refined in the 1800, this motor became the backbone of serious touring. In the world of long-distance touring, the Goldwing set its standard with engines first measuring 1,520 cubic centimeters and later expanding to 1,832 cubic centimeters. The earlier version delivered just over 100 horsepower, while the newer produced nearly 125, with both providing more than 100 pound-feet of torque for effortless highway travel. Braking relied on dual front discs and a single rear disc under advanced anti-lock braking system control. Suspension featured a telescopic fork up front and a single rear shock, electronically adjustable on later versions. Wet weight came in around 898 pounds for the 1500 and slightly over 900 pounds for the 1800, with seat height steady at 29.1 inches. Starting prices hovered near $17,999. Confirming its place as a premium touring machine. What made this Flat 6 remarkable was not only its power delivery, but also the relentless smoothness that it offered mile after mile. At highway speed, the engine loafed along with an ease that felt more like piloting a grand touring car than riding a motorcycle. Riders could spend 12 hours in the saddle, covering hundreds of miles, and still feel ready to ride again the next morning. The balance of the horizontally opposed cylinders canceled out vibration to such a degree that passengers often remarked they could ride all day without fatigue. Police departments, long-distance riders, and two-up tourers all gravitated to the Gold Wing because it was a machine designed to do one thing very well: keep moving forward without complaint. Many owners have seen odometers climb past 300,000 miles, and a few rare examples have broken through the 1 million mile barrier on original internals, a feat that places this motor in a league all its own. One retired couple embodied this durability, crossing all 50 states on their Gold Wing and piling up over 400,000 miles before finally handing it down to another rider. The Gold Wing's reputation also stems from the way it blends practicality with engineering indulgence. The fairing offered unmatched wind protection, the saddle was sculpted for endless comfort, and the massive storage options turned it into a two-wheeled grand touring car. Yet beneath all those luxuries sat an engine that seemed carved from stone, impervious to the wear and tear that sidelines lesser machines. It is a bike, trusted for cross-country pilgrimages, for journeys that do not stop when the map ends, and for riders who believe that retirement should be spent riding from coast to coast. The Flat Six does not just power a motorcycle, it powers memories, adventures, and lifelong stories of freedom on the open road. As we turn from the smooth comfort of the Gold Wing to the next chapter, the focus shifts back to the raw mechanical soul of American iron. The following engine proves that torque and heritage can be every bit as immortal as refinement and smoothness. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Evolution, 1340. In the story of American motorcycles, few engines carry the weight of redemption like the Evolution. By the early 1980s, the company faced doubts about reliability, performance, and even survival. Riders wanted an air-cooled V-twin that would not leak oil on the driveway, that would start every morning, and that could carry them coast to coast without drama. The answer arrived in 1984 when the Evolution rolled out, and it quickly became the trusted heartbeat of touring, cruising, and long-distance freedom. For riders seeking a reliable American V-twin, the Evolution stood out with its 1,340 cubic centimeter engine, producing about 70 horsepower and nearly 78 pound-feet of torque. It combined steady performance with durability, earning the trust of riders who demanded long-distance confidence. Stopping power came from dual discs up front and a single rear disc with straightforward hydraulic control. Suspension was managed by telescopic forks in the front and dual coilover shocks at the rear. Wet weight measured close to 690 pounds depending on trim, seat height averaged 27.8 inches, and the starting price in its day was about $7,500, reinforcing its reputation as a dependable and worthy road companion. What made the Evolution remarkable was not radical design, but refinement. It kept the pushrod simplicity that riders expected, but used modern metallurgy and tighter tolerances to create an engine that was oil-tight and dependable. Longtime riders still speak of its willingness to pile on miles without complaint, often hitting 200,000 or 300,000 before showing signs of wear. For many owners, 500,000 miles is not out of reach, and even when the motor finally needs work, the rebuild is straightforward and inexpensive. This durability restored confidence in the brand and helped build the culture of long-haul touring that still defines American motorcycling today. The Evolution was not about chasing high horsepower or racing glory. It was about giving the rider a companion that could be trusted year after year, ride after ride. The character of the Evolution also lies in how it feels on the road. Unlike high-revving Japanese machines, the V-twin pulses with a rhythm that connects rider and machine. The torque comes on low, strong, and steady, perfect for rolling through city streets or pulling hard on open highways. Owners talk about the confidence of knowing they can ride across 3 or 4 states in one shot without worrying about the motor beneath them. For older riders who grew up in an era of skepticism about reliability, the Evolution proved that American iron could once again stand toe-to-toe with anything on the road. That sense of trust is what earned it a permanent place in garages and in the history books. The significance of the Evolution is not just in its numbers, but in its legacy. It rebuilt the faith of riders, stabilized a company, and set the stage for the next generation of Harley-Davidson motors that would follow. To this day, well-kept Evolutions are seen rolling confidently down highways, their engines still strong decades later. As the sound of that steady V-twin fades into memory, we move forward to another motor that built on this momentum and became the backbone of modern American touring. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Twin Cam 88 and 96. Every so often, a motor comes along that defines an entire era of riding. For American touring riders in the late 1990s and through the 2000 decade, that motor was the Twin Cam. Introduced in 1999, the 88 version was followed by the 96 a few years later, both of them built to carry riders across the highways of this country with unshakable confidence. Across years of service on America's highways, the Twin Cam proved itself with engines first measuring 1,450 cubic centimeters and later expanding to 1,584 cubic centimeters. The earlier version delivered about 62 horsepower with 70 pound-feet of torque, while the larger variant produced roughly 69 horsepower and over 90 pound-feet, making it a favorite for long-haul riders who valued steady strength. Dual front discs combined with a single rear disc managed braking, upgraded in later years with anti-lock braking system technology for added control. Suspension was anchored by stout telescopic forks in the front and paired coilover shocks at the rear. Wet weights hovered near 730 pounds depending on trim, with seat height averaging 27.3 inches. Starting prices came in just under $13,999, marking the Twin Cam as a reliable and enduring choice for serious touring. The Twin Cam stood apart by blending modern engineering with the soul of classic American iron. Riders praised its strong low-end torque, smooth highway performance, and dependable acceleration. Many engines surpassed 300,000 or even 400,000 miles, with well-kept examples crossing 500,000. Supported by a vast aftermarket, the Twin Cam remained on the road indefinitely, becoming a trusted companion through decades of rides, carrying countless owners across states, seasons, and stages of life without ever missing a beat. One rider pushed his Twin Cam past 400,000 miles on a single machine, using it for annual coast-to-coast trips, and said the torque always felt as strong as the day he bought it. The character of the Twin Cam is also woven into the sound and feel it delivered. The pushrod V-twin architecture created a deep, even rumble that felt alive beneath the rider, a pulse that matched the rhythm of the open road. The torque came early and pulled with authority, letting riders roll on the throttle with confidence when merging onto interstates or climbing mountain grades with a fully loaded bike. Unlike high-strung motors that begged to be revved, the Twin Cam was happiest just off idle, delivering usable power right where riders needed it most. This is why touring machines equipped with the Twin Cam became icons of endurance, chosen by men who measured their journeys in states crossed and years traveled rather than miles per hour. The legacy of the Twin Cam is undeniable. It carried Harley-Davidson deep into the 21st century, kept countless riders loyal to the brand, and proved that American iron could combine tradition with progress. Even today, many of these engines are still running strong, a testament to their design and the men who ride them. As the sound of the Twin Cam fades into memory, the stage is set for a different kind of revival, one that brought back an American name once thought lost to history and gave it a motor capable of running with the very best. Number 2. Indian Thunderstroke 111. There are motors that are born into a legacy, and there are motors that create one. The Thunderstroke falls into the latter category, arriving in 2013 when Indian was reborn under new leadership and determined to reclaim its rightful place on American highways. Riders demanded authenticity, they demanded strength, and they demanded an engine that could last through decades of hard use. That demand was answered with a power plant that carried both heritage and modern refinement in equal measure. In its modern revival of classic American touring, the Thunderstroke arrived with a 1,811 cubic centimeter V-twin, producing about 75 horsepower and a commanding 119 pound-feet of torque. Power came on low and steady, giving riders confidence whether cruising small-town streets or stretching out on the interstate. Braking was handled by large dual discs up front and a single rear disc guided by a modern anti-lock braking system. Suspension featured strong front forks and a rear shock tuned for long-distance stability. Wet weight pushed close to 870 pounds, seat height measured 26 inches, and the starting price stood near $19,999, placing the Thunderstroke firmly among heavyweight contenders built for endurance. The Thunderstroke blends tradition with modern engineering, using air cooling, push rods, and fuel injection for reliability. Many owners report surpassing 200,000 miles with routine service, and some aim for 500,000, proving its deliberate over-engineering and unmatched endurance on America's highways. The Thunderstroke also carries a personality that resonates with the kind of men who value the ride as much as the destination. Its power comes on with a deep, commanding surge that makes passing on the interstate effortless, while its idle delivers the slow, steady rhythm that connects man and machine in a way that only a true American V-twin can. Riders praise the motor for its willingness to lug smoothly at low speeds through small towns, then stretch its legs on open highways without breaking a sweat. It is a motor that feels alive, one that rewards the rider with confidence and companionship as the miles stack up year after year. For many, the Thunderstroke became more than just an engine. It became proof that Indian was not only back, but back to stay. Engines like the Thunderstroke remind us that endurance is about more than mechanics. It is about spirit, pride, and the promise of the open road. With each passing year and each new mile added to its legacy, the Thunderstroke secures its place alongside the immortal motors of American motorcycling. From this story of revival and staying power, we arrive at the final chapter of our journey, one that takes us to a machine whose influence on modern motorcycling is unmatched and whose engine became the blueprint for generations to follow. You've seen engines that pushed past every limit, and the final chapter proves why these machines are unforgettable. If you want more deep dives into legendary motorcycles and the motors that shape generations, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss the next story from the road. Number 1. Honda CB750 Inline 4. Some machines do more than move a rider from one place to another. They change the very definition of what a motorcycle can be. In 1969, the CB750 appeared not as a boutique project, but as the first mass-produced four-cylinder motorcycle, a machine that carried the promise of performance, dependability, and a new standard for the industry. Riders soon realized that this motor was not a fragile experiment, but a foundation stone, a power plant built with the kind of durability that could outlast generations. Among the most influential machines of its era, the CB750 carried a 736 cubic centimeter inline 4 that produced about 67 horsepower and torque figures in the low 40s measured in pound-feet. Its balance of smooth power and reliability set a new benchmark, proving that a motorcycle could be both fast and dependable for everyday use. Braking began with a single front disc and a rear drum, later upgraded to dual discs with anti-lock braking system control on more modern versions. Suspension used a standard telescopic fork in the front and dual shocks at the rear. Wet weight settled near 480 pounds. Seat height measured 31.5 inches, and the original starting price was close to $1,495, making the CB750 both groundbreaking and accessible. The CB750 became legendary for its durability, with the inline 4 running hundreds of thousands of miles on basic maintenance. Many riders reached 200,000 or 300,000 miles, and some passed the 500,000 mark, proving its unmatched endurance and timeless reliability. The character of this engine lies in its ability to be both civilized and unstoppable. On the one hand, it offered smooth power delivery that made city riding easy, with no sudden surprises or harsh vibration. On the other hand, it had the stamina of a long-distance mule, willing to carry riders across state lines and into new horizons with steady confidence. For many American riders, the CB750 was the first taste of a motorcycle that felt as reliable as a car, but carried the freedom of two wheels. It became the bike that fathers passed down to sons, that veterans rode to keep their spirits alive, and that commuters relied on to get to work year after year without fail. Few engines have earned the title of both revolutionary and immortal, but the CB750's inline 4 has done exactly that. In the end, this engine did more than survive. It changed the course of motorcycling forever. The CB750 Inline 4 remains a monument to engineering honesty, a machine that delivered exactly what it promised and then gave more. Decades later, many of them are still out there, quietly humming along, proof that a well-built engine can outlast fads, trends, and even time itself. With the CB750 standing at the top of this list, the story of motorcycle endurance finds its perfect conclusion: power, reliability, and a spirit that never fades. You've just seen 7 engines that refuse to quit, machines built to outlast generations of riders. Each one carried its legacy across highways, small towns, and wide-open miles, proving that real endurance never goes out of style. If you value stories of power, heritage, and machines that stand the test of time, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and join this community of riders. Because the road doesn't end here, and neither do the legends.